This is ContraZoom, where we go back and forth about film. I'm your host, Dakota Ursino. We are back with what has now become a yearly tradition to have a fun episode where I name my favorite movies by category to celebrate my birthday, which, as the time of this episode is coming out, is just a few days afterwards. In recent years, I name my favorite films by North American city, by genre, by language, through the decades, and more. Joining me this year for a fifth time is my own personal Statler and Waldorf, Bill Antoniou, the host of the Bad Gay Movies and Riviera Rats podcast, two of the best podcasts out there. So welcome back to the show, Bill. How are you?
I am good, especially after that very gracious introduction. Thank you for that, and happy birthday! I saw it online yesterday, but I decided to wait to tell you in person.
I feel like that's way more personal, so thank you.
Yeah. Did you have a good time?
I did, yes. My wife took me out for a lovely dinner. We had a tasting menu at a restaurant that decided to plan their menu around the World Cup, so every dish was like a different country's themed food.
Oh,
so it was very interesting and very delicious.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. That's very nice. For a straight person, I guess that's fun.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Last year on episode 309, Best Films by City, we named our favorite films from 10 North American cities, including New York, Chicago, Las Vegas, and Toronto. It was a ton of fun. I'm going to link to that in the show notes along with previous ones as well. And this year, we're keeping that same theme but going more international. We are looking at 10 cities across a wide range of the world, including Europe, Australia, and more. I put aside Asian cities to include them on their own future list. But, as I said, I picked 10 cities that I believe had the most films to choose from to make an interesting list. They are in alphabetical order: Berlin, Cairo, Dublin, London, Madrid, Mexico City, Paris, Rio, Rome, and Sydney. But before we get into our individual list, I'm curious about your thoughts on the cities I chose, the quality of options you had, and just any general thoughts about doing this exercise yet again, Bill.
It's always something that when you first assign it to me, I think, oh, I'll get that done in no time. And then it ends up being really quite stressful narrowing it down, because some cities are, based on my, experience of movie watching, some cities really have a rich array of options to choose from, and other ones it's a bit easier to narrow down. But I don't know, you went around the world. I appreciate the variety. It was actually more fun to do this than to do North America. So, because of my love of international film.
Yes, that is true. One thing here to note for listeners, just because we're doing, not mostly non-English cities, that does not mean that English movies are disallowed. It just means that they have to be from there. A few things I noticed when I was, trying to make this list. It's a little tricky because, the best place to look is Wikipedia. There's usually a whole page dedicated to, films that take place in this country or this city. And so that's a good starting point. But then you realize that it's either an incomplete list or it has some weird characteristics that will include movies or things like that. And then you sort of have to go down the rabbit hole of, for me, the most helpful thing was like tourism guides. I was like, you're visiting Berlin. Here's, 20 films that were filmed in Berlin. And so, you check out a couple of those and, for the most part, they have similar titles. You're just kind of looking for which are the big movies that you might be missing, trying to fill in the gaps, things like that. So it's a little tricky, and I know it's not an exhaustive list that I even went through, but still it was very helpful for me in terms of figuring out what my options were.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Wikipedia list is that it'll include movies where one scene was filmed in the city you've chosen. So that's not very helpful, because I tried to pick movies where it's not just that I love the movie, but that there's a sort of emblematic relationship that it has with that city, in terms of me, when I think about that movie, thinking, oh yeah, that's Mexico City, so.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. And that's sort of kind of what I went on as well. And it sort of makes it a little bit tough then to want to include period piece movies, because, that's a recreation of something that is no longer in existence. So for me, for the most part, I sort of stayed away from period pieces. I think I've got one or two on here, but for the most part, they are contemporary from when they were filmed.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that makes it a little bit tricky is, especially in some of these other cities, kind of like Toronto or Vancouver, they are playing a different city. So when I'm looking at these lists of like, oh, best film set in Madrid, but in reality, you know, it was shot in Mexico or something like that, and it was dressed up to look like Madrid.
I think I avoided that, but I could that, or I'm not aware that a film was not shot where I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also cross-referenced it with movies I've talked about on your show in the past, which is an increasingly large list that is also making it more difficult to stay original on this, you know, because it's your birthday. We got to keep it fresh.
Yes, I agree with you, and that's something that I did as well. And really, I think there was only 2 films that I think I had on my short list that I
Mm,
decided to exclude because
okay,
it would have been the case. But yes, that is something that I kind of kept in mind in order to keep it fresh as well.
cool.
So yeah, there we have it. All right. Well, before we start diving into this, do you have anything else you want to preface by saying, Bill, before we get into this?
Just how grateful I am that you continue to make me your birthday treat, which is a real compliment, and how much I look forward to doing this all the time, and that I appreciate you having me.
You're being far too nice right now, Bill. I don't
I
like
know,
this.
I'm setting you up for the kill. You're about to pick a bunch of stupid movies that you know nothing about, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna massacre you. So it's good to be gentle at first.
Okay, I appreciate the gentleness. I am a sensitive boy, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way this is going to work is we're going to go through each city. We're going to name a runner-up, which will basically just name, and if we have any small thoughts on it, and
Hmm.
then we'll have a bit more of a discussion on our actual picks, a little bit back and forth. Bill teasing me for my lack of worldliness, things
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
Rachel teasing you for your love of period films. Like you kind of get it from both ends.
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is also a great way to spend your birthday in my world.
I will reiterate, Rachel Ho does have a ban on this podcast that is on course until I invite her back.
Oh,
But
okay.
she knows what she did, and what she did
Oh,
was leaving me the
Rachel
show
is the
alone.
best of us. I would happily I would like walk to be on a podcast with Rachel, let alone get online. So,
Yes,
yeah.
that is very true. But I got to keep up the facade that we have
Right.
beef. All right, well, let's get started. The very
Okay.
first one we're going to go to is we're going to travel all the way to Berlin, Germany.
Hmm.
Now, Bill, on your podcast, every time this city gets brought up, you usually have to bite your tongue because of your displeasure that you had when visiting
Oh,
Berlin.
it's a great compliment to me that you even remember that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I did not have a good time in Berlin. I will, for all the people who love it, maybe it's just not, maybe we just don't mesh. Maybe I'm not the right personality type for that city, but I found everyone really, really unfriendly. To be fair, I went there in the spring of 2022 when things were kind of starting to get back to normal post COVID, but I think people were still antsy about outsiders, visitors. And I was there during an insane heat wave that I think was making everyone very prickly too. So,
Mm.
but I will also never go back unless I'm forced. So, yeah, I didn't have a good time. It wasn't for me.
Yes, I too would probably hate being a city filled with people the exact same as me.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm going to pretend I didn't understand.
All right. Let's get into this.
All
Bill, what
right.
was your runner-up pick for films that take place in Berlin?
Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders from 1987. I think it would be most people's pick. It's a great movie and will be discussed on an upcoming, not soon upcoming, on a future episode of Riviera Rats as it won an award at Cannes.
Yeah, Wim Wenders is still such a huge blind spot for me.
Mhm.
I've only seen Perfect Days, so this was one that was on my. I'll also say I did a bunch of homework leading up to this, and I hope you're going to be proud of me of some of my picks because some of them do make my list here. Wings of Desire was one of my options, but I decided to focus on cities that I had less options already,
Okay.
so I didn't end up catching up with that one.
All right.
But what is your actual pick then?
My actual pick is The Lives of Others by Florian Henkel von Donnerschmarck from 2006. It's the Oscar winner for Best Foreign Language Film, the surprise pick over Pan's Labyrinth, which was expected to win, and is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's a movie that like you're watching it and you're like enjoying it, and then at the end suddenly you're crying into your seat. Like it's so profound by the time it ends. It's set during it's set in the 80s. It's still Eastern and Western Berlin, West and East Berlin. Uh, and a member of the Stasi, whose job it is to monitor people, has been assigned to a playwright that the government believes might be um, subversive in some way. And the relationship that sort of develops between this man who is observing this artist and the artist who has no idea what's going on, and how that all plays out. It's really devastating. And one of the days that I actually really enjoyed when I was in Berlin was going to the Stasi Museum and seeing the original headquarters, or part of the original headquarters of the East Berlin Secret Police. And they actually talk about that movie a lot when you're in that building. So from what I understand, it captured it exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I adore that movie, so that's a great selection. In fact, I'm gonna spoil things right now. I love it so much. That was my pick as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're starting things off in a strong suit. We agree on something already. Yeah, The Lives of Others is absolutely fantastic. I remember it, specifically because it won the Best International Film, Foreign Language Film, as it was known then. At the time, I hadn't seen it, and I'd only seen Pan's Labyrinth, and I was so aghast that Pan's Labyrinth lost because it was such a beautiful film. And I went and watched The Lives of Other afterwards, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think they might have made the right decision, because as great as Pan's Labyrinth is, The Lives of Other is on a complete different level. This is an absolutely stunningly beautiful film about the dangers of fascism and what happens when the arts are, the central target, and how this affects everyone.
But also the effect that human connection has, no matter what your political ideology. I find that so profound.
Mm-hmm.
The effect that the playwright's work and life has on this guy, it's incredible. It's just extremely well done. I've seen it so many times, and it never gets old for me. Pan's Labyrinth is a Cannes selection, and so I will be rewatching that at some point, and I'm curious to see how it strikes me 20 years later, because I never was that impressed with that film. So I wonder if it'll grow in my estimation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then, one thing to sadly point out is that the lead actor in The Lives of Others, Ulrich Mui, died a year after this film came out.
Yeah.
And so what should have been this huge international coming out party for him was, unfortunately, I believe, the last thing he did. Oh, he did. It looks like he did a couple more things after this.
Yeah, it's the last notable thing that he did. And then his wife, who is in Funny Games with him, she died of cancer like a year after him, a few years after him. Yeah,
that's so sad.
Yeah, check the tap water in that house.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, then, you know what? I'm going to work backwards then. And my runner-up pick is Atomic Blonde, another film that deals with the sort of East-West
Cold War
era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
in exactly the same way.
Exactly the same way. They're basically twin films. There's no differences between them. No, Atomic Blonde stars Charlize Theron as an MI6 agent who is sent to Berlin to undercover a mole, basically, and it's got some great action sequences. It's basically John Wick with a female lead. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it yet, watch Atomic Blonde.
It's tons of fun. It's beautifully shot. I'm kind of tired of the same old spy plot, which is always like a list of all of our agents has fallen into the wrong hands. Like there's about 45,000 movies with that plot, but it is fun. That guy, what's the director of that? What's his name?
David Leitch.
David Leitch,
so, yeah.
Former stunt coordinator turned director. And like, you can tell because his movies move beautifully, but he has yet to make something that really has a soul. But he will.
Yeah. He is technically, I guess, a uncredited co-director on the first John Wick film, and then he left the franchise and has since done some of the best action movies. But you're right. I think they all kind of do lack a bit of a soul.
Yeah.
Atomic Blonde is probably his best film that I've seen. Bullet Train is very good.
They're all fun. I mean, The Fall Guy is fun too. It just doesn't lift, like it doesn't quite soar. And but I'm sure he will manage it at some point.
And I forgot to mention this off the top of our list. I did last year ask you if if you sort of felt that when you were looking at the cities, were certain genres, styles, explorations, themes, things like that, did you find them to be more reoccurring in certain cities over other cities? Because we talked about that with the North American cities,
Yeah.
how much a Boston movie feels like a Boston movie and a Vegas movie feels like a Vegas movie and so on. And it's interesting that for Berlin, at least for me, both of my picks involve the Cold War, and one of yours does as well too.
That's true. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking over my list and I see, even just in my two choices per city, I see repetition. So yeah, that's
Mm.
probably true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. All right, well, let us move over to Cairo. So I'll start things off.
Hmm.
My runner-up pick is going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's
Oh,
very famously the market sequence where Indiana Jones goes to get some more information and ends up shooting a guy instead of sword fighting him. And then my actual pick is going to be Death on the Nile, and not the most recent remake. I'm
hmm.
talking about the original film that came out in, what was the year?
78.
1978.
Yeah.
Yes. Directed by John Gillerman,
Hmm.
which it's a Poirot film. It was remade a couple years ago in a terrible attempt that got sent straight to Disney Plus because it was the pandemic, and basically half the cast ended up being canceled by the time it came
That's
out.
right. It did play in theaters though, briefly. I
Oh,
saw it
did
in a
it?
movie theater, yeah. But
Oh,
it was
interesting.
delayed by over a year because of COVID and then because of Army Hammer. Yeah. So,
Yeah. But this is an absolutely glamorous
mhm.
throwback to a type of film that we just really don't get anymore, with the types of movie stars that don't exist anymore. Like it stars Peter Ustinov as Hercule Poirot. Wow, I can't believe that was so hard to say there for me. The very famous Belgium detective. But this movie also has legends like Betty Davis and Mia Farrow
Mhm.
and
Angela
Angela
Lansbury,
Lansbury
yeah.
and David
And the late
Niven.
great Olivia Hussey.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, who recently passed away, Maggie Smith.
Hmm.
This film is just so much fun. The dresses are gorgeous. The sets are over the top. They have this great sequence where they are visiting, I believe it's the Sphinx,
Yeah.
and there's an attempted murder that happens there. Most of this does take place on this riverboat,
Hmm.
but it still features plenty of Cairo and Egyptian imagery.
And it's shot there, which is the
Yes.
problem with the remake, which is that the whole thing looks like CGI,
Hmm.
because it is. And yeah, I love it's my favorite of all the Agatha Christie murder mysteries made into a film. It's one of Mia Farrow's finest moments. I love her performance, but I love all the supporting characters too. And apparently, filming it was a real challenge because Egypt gets very, very, very hot, and it would reach like 50 Celsius in the middle of the day while they were shooting in period makeup and costumes. And so there was a lot of unwanted fainting happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll bet. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, what are your choices then, Bill?
My runner-up is The Boy from Heaven, aka Cairo Conspiracy. I think it's what it's called if you look it up on Canopy, by Tariq Saleh from 2022. This is a movie I watched for the first time for Riviera Rats because it played in competition at Cannes and won Best Screenplay, and is a really fun conspiracy thriller. My major choice is Cairo Time from 2009 by Ruba Nada. This is Alexander, oh fuck, what's his name? The guy from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Siddig, I think, and Patricia Clarkson as a woman visiting Cairo. I think her husband's a diplomat or something, and this friendship she develops with a man who runs a cafe, and um, it's a wonderful private experience movie, and beautifully, beautifully shot. Rubanata is based in Canada. I actually met her at a party after I saw this film and waxed poetic on how much I loved it, which was it's always wonderful to have the opportunity to tell someone when you enjoy their work. And she was very nice. We chatted for a while. We emailed back and forth for a while. I saw her next film at TIFF and met up with her after. So that was a great experience. But I love this film. And I
Oh,
chose a
nice.
Canadian film. So there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure this is a Canadian film. Yeah, this
Mhm.
is one that is that I've not seen, but has, often pops up as great underrated Canadian film.
Yeah.
So it should be one that I should definitely bump up to the top of my watch
It's the
list.
best of hers that I've seen. And she told me some great stories about a famous movie star on another film that she made, which I'll tell you off mic. But
Oh,
the word lovely has never been more aptly used. Yeah. And not in a dismissive way.
amazing! Yeah,
Yeah.
those are two great choices, neither of which I've seen. So we're continuing this trend of Bill naming
Of you
movies Dakota
knowing
hasn't
nothing?
seen.
Yeah.
All right, well, let us move over to Dublin, Ireland. And Bill, why don't you start us off this time?
All right. Well, they're both based on the same author, which I did not do intentionally. But my runner-up is Joseph Strick's Ulysses from 1967, based on the most difficult book anyone ever tried to read. I think this is an excellent film, which you can hear me talk about on Riviera Rats if you go to our 1967 episode. But my number one choice, of course, has to be John Huston's The Dead from 1987. I talk about this movie all the time. I talk about my love of Angelica Houston all the time and drive Greg crazy. I always say he turns into that scene in Death Becomes Her where she's in the support group and everyone starts screaming as soon as she mentions Madeline Ashton's name whenever I talk about Angelica Houston again. But this is one of her finest moments. And this is her father's last film. He directed this movie on a respirator, and you can't tell that it's directed by someone who's compromised. It's a small, delicate, beautiful film set on the evening of a winter party being hosted by these two spinster sisters who have their friends over for dancing and then dinner. And then throughout the course of it, everyone just is constantly relating stories of the past to each other, particularly people who have passed, and the effect that they've had on their lives and what they've left them with, the memories that they've left them with. It's, again, a very delicate, unassuming, but profoundly emotional film that Criterion recently released in a beautiful restored edition that I highly recommend.
Interesting. Yeah, this is one that I've not heard of. I've heard of the Ulysses adaptation, but
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard of this one.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
missing out. It's really really great. And again, one of Angelica's finest performances. There's a scene of her simply standing and listening to music that moves me so deeply every time I see it. But maybe that's just because I love her so much.
I mean, she is one of the greats, and it's sort of a shame that she doesn't have the current legacy that some of her peers have because she is fantastic in everything she does.
She is. I think it's just been a while since she made an impact. She had a big role in Ballerina last year, but no one really saw that. And that was her first big thing in a long time because, of course, she's been ill. She recently revealed that she had been battling cancer years ago and recovering from that. So there wasn't a lot of on camera work for a while. But who knows? Depending on what her energy is for continuing to act, hopefully she'll have, this renaissance we're seeing with Sharon Stone right now. Hopefully Angelica will have something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. And you get to show how smart you are by picking two James Joyce films.
Yeah, that's right. Again, not intentionally, but I just couldn't remember if The Quiet Man took place in Dublin or not.
Mm. Was it even filmed out there too? Is the question.
Yeah. Oh no, it
That
was.
might have been.
The Quiet
Oh,
Man, I
was
believe,
it?
is the first feature film made in Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. A movie I am decidedly not a fan of.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I just found it to be too silly and over the top.
Really? I haven't
Yeah.
seen it in a very long time, but I remember thinking it was fabulous. So,
Mm.
yeah. Well, another strike on Dakota's record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, question is, these are both James Joyce adaptations. You mentioned how difficult some of his books are. Have you read either of these?
I have not yet attempted Ulysses, but I did study the Dubliners in school. So I read, I think, 3 or 4 of the stories in that. I definitely read The Dead because I remember writing a paper on it, and my professor gave me a good mark, but he said, no one interprets The Dead this way. And I was like, okay, I don't know that is that a criticism? Like, if you tell me my argument is weak, that's a fair criticism. But to say that, and there's also no way that like I have the first opinion on any classic literature. So I never knew what was really going on with that guy. But he also, at the time, The Dead was not available on DVD, and I told him how much I love the movie, and he burned his DVD copy of it for me. Like someone had made him a bootleg, and he
Oh,
burned a copy for me because I said that. So he's in my good books either way.
that's really
Yeah, I
nice.
thought that was really classy.
Wow. All right. Well, for my picks, my runner-up film, I'm going with Sing Street, the John Carney film. I love this about kids deciding to start a band and trying to figure out what 80s genre they want to be. And so every song kind of takes over a different 80s genre. It's a very sweet love story and great music film.
I think that's his best.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I have not seen his latest one yet.
Well,
but
no one did.
out of
It
all
played
his
in theaters for like 2 minutes, and then I went to go see it with my friend, and it was gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different discussion for a different day, but frustrates me to no end as well.
Yeah. I've seen, I think, all his movies, and none of them are bad, but I like Sing Street the most.
Yeah. And then my actual pick is going to be The Commitments from 1991, another musical film directed by Alan Parker about a guy who wants to manage a band and put together a soul band made up entirely of working class Irish people. All the movies I've seen from Dublin were music based in some way or another. So this is something that came up as a theme for me in terms of cities. What do they represent? And for Dublin, it's music. And I had never seen this before. This is one that I watched as homework and fell madly in love with it. I know a lot of people have raved about this movie for years, and it was one I've always wanted to see. And it absolutely lived up to the hype. You get to see the true... It really did feel like you were seeing the real working class areas of London, so much so that there's like a cutaway moment of someone trying to deliver a package and has to stop and ask for directions because a lot of these houses and streets were basically unlisted. And if you didn't know your way around, there was no way to navigate them. And so I think they did a really great job of showing the struggle that these people are going through and how they're trying to fight for upward mobility and what their actual goals and loves and passions and how do they all conflict with each other. And I think it has a really great code at the end where often in types of movies like this where you're like, oh, and what do these characters get up to next? And some of them, they say that they do continue with music, but then a lot of them, they're like, no. And she just went back home and married the guy that proposed to her first. And now she's got 5 kids and hates her life. And it's like, oh, wow, that's really dark and depressing. Thank you.
This is a movie that I need to rewatch because I have seen it, but it was so long ago. I mean, so long ago. I think I rented it on video cassette not long after it came out. And I know that there's a lot about it that I couldn't have appreciated back then that if I rewatch it, I will. Because it's Alan Parker's most beloved film. No one ever raves about any of his movies. None of his other movies have the following that this has, even though people love Fame and they love The Wall. So it's something I've definitely want to rewatch. Also because I've been working on one of my Substack pieces about him, so I should probably rewatch it before publishing a review.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematography is gorgeous in this, and the music is fantastic. Like, it's hard not to fall in love with the choices of music that they play in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all-time classics.
It was one of those movies where, like, everyone had the CD, even if they hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's basically a greatest hits compilation of the all-time best soul music.
Yeah.
All right, well, let us move over to not very far from Dublin, and that is London, England. So for my runner-up pick, it's going to be Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. I recently saw that for the first time last year. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So exciting. That's still my favorite of anything in that whole, world.
Well, I've seen the second one now, and I'm still trying to work my way through because I do want to, considering how well received The Bone Temple was, my goal is to watch that for this year. Oh. So it's included in my 2026 list.
I didn't like Bone Temple. I like the first part much more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, I'm mostly picking this for the fact that Danny Boyle was able to shut down the busiest part of London to film a sequence that is completely deserted due to this apocalypse that has broken out due to a virus. Of Cillian Murphy just walking alone, and they only had, I think, like such a short window of time where I think it was like less than half an hour to film this sequence of him walking through the deserted streets of London, and for that alone is absolutely monumental. And
like 5 a.m. I'm sure they shot it like that.
Yeah. I think it was like literally as soon as it was daybreak, that was when their time started. But my actual pick is going to be another horror film, and that is Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead.
Oh.
This doesn't take place in downtown London like a lot of films that I consider do. This takes place more in the suburbs of London, and I think does a really great job of kind of showing the monotony of life that we can fall into. You know, they make the joke early on in the movie that all he wants to do is go to the pub, have a few pints with his friend, and then go back home with his girlfriend. And, you know, that's a happy life for him. And they do such a great job of sort of upending that in the same way George A. Romero did similarly with the zombie genre too, you know, critiquing capitalism and race and things like that. And Shaun of the Dead is kind of a continuation of that in a very loving way. But yeah, those are my two films, both horror films, very interestingly enough.
Both zombie films as well.
Both zombie films, yeah, specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's your birthday, so I'll be nice about it. No, I remember Shaun of the Dead being very funny. I saw it only the one time, but I remember enjoying it. And I really enjoyed Hot Fuzz. And I enjoyed Scott Pilgrim, too. I think maybe Baby Driver was the first time that I was sort of, I'd lost my patience with him.
I mean, you're not alone there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Are we moving on to mine, or did you want me to say anything more about Shaun?
No, unless you have anything more you want to add about Shaun of the Dead.
No, because I don't remember it that well. I just remember enjoying it.
Fair.
My London picks. Well, my runner-up pick has to be Mary Poppins, 1964, Robert Stevenson, because it was a childhood favorite, and it's a movie that hasn't aged at all. I mean, when you watch it now, I feel it's still just as fresh and as wonderful as it was when I was a kid. And because I started watching it from when I was so very young, it was the first movie that really gave me my conception of London. And I think I still imagine it that way, even though, of course, it's mainly a Disney backlot. But my major pick, my main pick, is one of my favorite all-time thrillers, which is Bunny Lake is Missing by Otto Preminger from 1965. This is a plot that has been done numerous times since, and it's never been done as well, which is that Carol Linley is, I think, her name. She drops her daughter off. She has just arrived to London. She's just moved there from the States. She drops her daughter off for her first day at a new kindergarten. And then when she comes to pick her up at the end of the day, not only does she not find her daughter, but everyone insists that they never saw her, that she never had a daughter, that they don't remember anyone being dropped off. And so a police officer gets involved, a police detective, I should say, played by Laurence Olivier. And he's trying to believe her, but he also wonders if this girl isn't crazy. And then she starts to wonder if she's crazy. And aside from this intriguing plot, it's one of those gorgeous 60s movies that are black and white, shot in CinemaScope, or in widescreen anyway. And the way you just see London, the various parts of London as it's filmed in this movie are fantastic. Both like the clean suburbs as well as like the weird doll shop and the crazy lady who lives in the attic and all these other elements that it has. It's a movie I've never gotten sick of. I watch it all the time.
I've never heard of this film before, and this is instantly going right to the top of my watch list.
Okay.
You're right. This is a plot that's been done before. Thinking of things like The Changeling, Flight Plan. I'm sure there's
that one with Julianne
films.
Moore where it turned out the kid was stolen by aliens. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I don't know what it's
called, but it's the same thing. She's like, "Where's my daughter?" And everyone's like, "You never had a daughter."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was also, and then Reese Witherspoon was looking to remake this movie for a very long time. It was a project on her to-do list, and I didn't care that whether or not it turned out to be a good movie, but I also liked the idea of it bringing back people's awareness of the original, because of course, if she made a remake of it, guys like you would have heard of the original, and then you would have watched it. So.
Yeah, very true. Preminger is also another pretty big blind spot. I'm pretty sure I've only seen Laura by him.
Oh, there's so much great stuff. I love Otto Preminger.
Yeah. I like. There's honestly, I'm quickly looking at his credits, and there's a bunch of films that I know I've been wanting to watch for the longest time.
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Murder.
That one's great. Bunny Lake is my favorite, but Advise and Consent is also one that I really love a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of The Man with the Golden Arm.
That's great too.
Yeah. And this cast looks fantastic.
Keir
Olivier, Keir Delay. Yeah. The Zombies, interesting.
Yep, that's right.
The band.
Yep.
And Noel Coward. I always love Noel Coward.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful kook in it. Yeah.
I expect nothing less from him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let us move over to Madrid, Spain. And Bill, you can start us off this time.
All right. Well, I mean, you're not going to talk about Spanish cinema without talking about Pedro Almodovar. And I could have made like a million picks from his filmography for this category, even though he makes quite a few films that are not set in Madrid. But my runner-up would have to be Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. And on a different day, that could also be my main pick, because it's certainly a movie I've never gotten tired of, no matter how many times I've seen it. It's pretty flawless. But I'm actually going to go further afield from Almodovar for my main pick and focus on Cría cuervos by Carlos Saura from 1976. Cría cuervos means raise ravens. It's from an old Spanish proverb meaning raise ravens and they'll peck out your eyes. And it's set during Francoist Spain. This movie is made in 1976, so that's not that far in the past. And it's about a young woman growing up with her military father and her complicated relationship with him and his complicated relationship with her now deceased mother. It's a crazy, it's a turgid coming of age story about this young girl played by Ana Torrent, who is also the little girl in The Spirit of the Beehive. Which is also a movie I could have picked, except I don't think it's set in actual Madrid. And this movie is incredible. And I also look forward to talking about it on Riviera Reds because it took second place at Cannes. It's my favorite Carlos Saura movie. And Geraldine Chaplin is in it as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is a film that I am not familiar with by name, director, or stars either.
Great. Yeah. Look at me. Opening new horizons.
But Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown was my second runner-up pick. That's also a fantastic film. We were debating originally between doing Madrid or Barcelona, and immediately the only films I'd seen from either of those cities were Almodovar films.
That's right. Yeah.
Which, definitely says something about me and my lack of Spanish cinema that I've seen.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of wonderful stuff to discover. So,
all right. Well, my runner-up, I am also going to go Almodovar, but in a different direction. One of his most recent films, Pain and Glory, starring Antonio Banderas, where it was basically Banderas playing Almodovar.
Same hair.
Yeah, wearing all red, a beautifully heartbreaking film that, in some of the best Almodovar fashion kind of plays with what is reality and what is fictionalized. I think he does that really well. Yeah. There's sort of a movie within a movie that isn't revealed until the very end.
I think it's my favorite of this late period of his.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it is mine, too.
Yeah. I liked it more than Parallel Mothers.
Yes, that was one I also really appreciated, but I do prefer Pain and Glory. But speaking of Almodovar staple Penelope Cruz, I am going to go with a movie that she stars in, one called Open Your Eyes. Oh. This was also a first-time watch for me. Most people probably know this as it was remade as Vanilla Sky, a film I have also not seen.
In which she plays the same part.
She does, yeah.
My name is Sofia Serrano. It's nice to meet you.
Is that what she says in it?
Yeah. And then at the press conferences promoting it, she was dating Tom at the time, so they said, and she said, he's so talented as an actor and so special as a person. God bless her. By the way, huge Penelope fan. Like, I worship the ground she walks on. I love her so much.
She's so good.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah.
I will say she's definitely a better actress in Spanish language cinema than she is in English language cinema. I don't know if it's a limitation of the language barrier for her, which is something that I feel like still kind of she struggles with a little bit, or is it that she's not getting roles other than being, the very, very beautiful woman that she is?
I think I would definitely have said that 20 years ago. I don't feel the same way quite so much today because her English has improved and the roles are more interesting. When you're a very young, beautiful woman, you tend to just get cast in these ingenue roles. And if that's what suits you, that's great. But Penelope is like, she's quirky, kooky, funny, wise. And
Hmm.
Spanish cinema allowed that to show from a much earlier time than English language cinema did. So I feel like now there's more opportunities to see her being great. But then
Hmm.
it depends on the quality of the movie. I mean, she's very good in The Bride, but who cares? Because that movie is an eyesore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely adored Open Your Eyes. It
Hmm.
was directed by Alejandro Amenbar.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's this crazy story about a young rich prick basically who never wants to be seen going on a date with the same woman more than once, who ends up kind of falling for his best friend's girl, and then gets into a car accident that disfigures him. And basically everything that kind of happens after that, you're not really sure
Hmm.
what is real, what is a dream, what is inside his head, and it's playing with this convention constantly. Literally, it's not until the last second of the movie that you even can fully grasp what everything really was.
Totally. It's a flawless movie. I love when a movie does a really good job of making you think you're watching one movie and then it turns out you've been
Pulls the
watching
rug
a
out.
different movie the whole time.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of it. The Wicker Man is always my first example of that, but I think Open Your Eyes is also particularly good in this regard. And it's the movie that gave us Penelope. I mean, it's what she was already famous in Spain, but it's what brought her to North America. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she's so good in this
Hmm.
film. Honestly, this entire cast is great.
Yeah.
Eduardo Noriega,
Yeah.
who plays the title character named Caesar.
He was so hot back then, too.
He does such a good job of like playing this very convincing shallow prick, and then once he's disfigured, I think you kind of really appreciate what he's bringing as an actor.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you see someone for the first time and you think, oh, they're just playing themselves or a version of themselves. It's not until much later when they get more diverse roles that you can actually truly see the acting ability that takes to play something so naturalistic. And in this film, he gets to do that
Yeah.
for the same role, which is always great when an actor gets to show their range like that.
True, but I think a lot of that has to do with people's understanding of acting too. It's actually much harder to play yourself than it is to play something further
Mm,
afield from you because you put more pressure on yourself to get it right because you're not using your imagination as much. I think
yeah.
also, I mean, the I've mostly done theater. The little acting I've done on film is, I mean, I think it's just really hard to act. And you've been on enough film sets to know how unnatural the situation is that you're put under and that you have to make seem effortless. So I think anytime anyone on film seems like they're not doing anything, I think that means they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very true. The most unbelievable thing about this film is that the woman that plays Nuria, that he's
The Psycho
trying to get
X.
away
Yeah.
from, isn't also a stunningly beautiful woman.
Yes, she was in a bunch of movies around that time. I remember seeing her in a lot of Spanish cinema. I can't remember her name. But Cameron Diaz also gave one of her most acclaimed performances in that role in the remake.
Yeah, so I'm very excited now to watch the remake.
I remember it
Yeah,
not being as good. I saw it when it came out, and I've never seen it since. But it's probably worth seeing.
I mean it's going to be hard to compare,
Hmm.
especially when you watch the original film first. And a remake does exist. It's always hard to not go in and just be like, well, they did it better in the first time. Oh,
Yeah,
well, they could have done it this way.
it's weird that he chose Cameron Crowe to direct it. That's just someone who's not really suited to that project. But yeah,
Yeah, like I know Tom Cruise also around the same time worked with Stanley Kubrick.
hmm,
This feels like this would have made a terrific Kubrick film.
yeah. It's also why the others got made because he loved the original Open Your Eyes, so he bought the remake rights and then also produced the others for Amenabar, which starred his then wife.
Oh, Tom Cruise did. I
Yes.
thought you were talking about Cameron Crowe.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
I did not know
Hmm.
that. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Sorry, I thought I
Yeah,
lost you for a second there.
you did,
What
just
did I,
not
what
the
did
way
I
you
do
think.
wrong?
All right. Well, let's keep the Spanish theme going
All
and
right.
let's move over down to Mexico City, Mexico.
Hmm.
So my pick, no surprise at all, is Y Tu Mama Tambien as my runner-up. Probably the most famous film that has ever come out of Mexico City,
Hmm.
directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Ostensibly about two young male best friends who decide to go on a road trip and find a older woman that they invite to come with them and end up becoming a bit of a throuple for a short period of time and how this affects their friendship and things like that. I'm sure you could probably write an entire essay on this film, Bill, from memory.
I actually prepped a podcast episode on this movie that I never ended up finishing because my Criterion's podcast sort of went by the wayside around that time. I love this movie. I've seen it a number of times. I thought about it, but because most of it takes place outside the city, I thought it might not be a good choice, but it's your birthday. You're allowed. It's fine.
Well, this is why it's my runner-up pick.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's certainly one of the sexiest movies ever made.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. Especially since, especially at this time, showcasing bisexuality like this seemed completely unheard of. Things have obviously changed in the 25 years since this came out in 2001.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was such a groundbreaking film.
Totally. Yeah.
But my actual film, I'm going to stick with Alfonso Cuarón and go with his film Roma, the movie that should have won Best Picture the year it came out, about basically an ode to his housekeeper. This film has kind of really... he's really sort of changed the way he makes films now. So much more whimsy, I would say, or... magical realism, things like that, which I think is, really shaped this film, and I think is going to shape the way he makes films going forward. But one that I absolutely love, and I think he did such a great job of sort of highlighting all the aspects of his hometown of Mexico City and what he loves about it and what he wants to show the world with it.
Yeah, Roma was my favorite movie of that year. It's pretty flawless. Yeah.
What would be your picks then?
Well, since my main pick is Roma and we've talked about it, I will say a few things about my runner-up choice because I do love it. It's just Roma is the better film because Roma is better than like most films. A movie that I can't wait to watch again. I've seen it a few times, but I think it's so magical. But my runner-up pick is a movie from 1991 by Maria Novaro called Danzón, Danzon. It's a type of dance. And it's about this telephone operator in Mexico City who lives a, kind of routine daily life. And the one thing she looks forward to every week is going to a dance hall where she dances the danzón with a dance partner who she only sees once a week at this event. And then one week he's not there and she doesn't know why. And she becomes obsessed with finding out, like, if something happened to him, whatever. And she ends up like going halfway across the country to find him and find out what happened, and goes on this delightful voyage of discovery. It's a terrific movie that I wish more people would discover.
Interesting. Yeah. So would you say it's like, does it have like a bit of a thriller feel to it, or is it?
No, it's like it's like a, I don't know, maybe like a Mexican Kaurismäki film or something. Like, it's like magical things happen on the way.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
She goes to Veracruz, I think, is where she goes. I don't remember. She just ends up befriending drag queens and hanging out in this new town and sort of being distracted from her goal of finding out what happened to this man.
Well, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a great runner-up. And so you're saying that Roma is your pick here too?
Roma is my pick. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add to it?
No, because what do your listeners not know about that movie?
Very true. Yeah. Very true. It's recent. It's critically acclaimed.
It's Netflix.
It's Netflix. Yeah. It's easy to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you watch it. It's got some fantastic cinematography, black and white. Love it.
What it has really is a fantastic command. Like, it is beautiful and it's fascinating, but it's a really long movie that just happens and you're never looking at the time. Like, it just holds you there for so long, and seeing it on a big screen is a particularly wonderful experience for that movie because of the richness of the imagery and the sound and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's still like several shots in this film that are just burned in my mind. Mm-hmm. I think of like the opening sequence where you don't realize that they're washing the driveway.
Yes,
and there's the reflection of the plane overhead.
That's right. Yeah,
it's so good. And then after the father leaves and the mother's trying to park the car in the driveway and she's just absolutely banging the car on every angle that she can hit it.
Yeah, and it's also, there's a delicate way that he tells this story that I really appreciate. This movie had a lot of there was some controversial commentary on it because he's inspired by his memories of the maid in his own house when he grew up in this sort of very posh middle class neighborhood in Mexico City, and the indigenous maid that he had. And I don't feel that he is either trying to win sympathy for himself by saying, like, look how nice I am to my indigenous maid. I think I feel like there is a more hands-off approach of not trying to manipulate you one way or the other, but simply presenting the situation in a very matter-of-fact way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sort of how I felt about it too.
Yeah. I find Y tu mamá también is a little more devastating in this regard. It always upsets me when his maid brings him a sandwich. Like, it's one thing that you have staff to clean your house and to do the things that are exhausting that you don't want to do, which isn't great, but I get it. But like, I could always go to the kitchen and make my own sandwich no matter how wealthy I was, and like, that to me says so much about the social structure and the class structure in that part of the world more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let us move over to Paris, France.
Hmm.
And what do you have as your picks, Bill?
I love both of these films, so again, pick a different day and they would be in the reverse order, but my runner-up is Diva by Jean-Jacques Beignet from 1981. This is a really cool movie. It's a thriller about a guy who illegally records an opera singer during one of her performances and then accidentally gets involved in a spy plot. It's a magnificent film that I believe was recently restored and released on Kino Lorber Blu-ray, so I have to get my copy of that because I have an old Criterion Laserdisc of this film. But my main choice is Les Enfants du Paradis, Children of Paradise by Marcel Carné from 1945. This is a beautiful 3-hour work of magical poetry about art and literature and theater, focused mainly on a young man who is a mime named Baptiste, and his marriage to one woman and his love of another. And it's just poetry on film. It's one of the most beautiful films ever made. It's 3 hours long. It was originally presented in 2 parts because when it was being shot, Paris was still under Nazi occupation, and the Germans didn't allow the French to gather for more than, I don't know, 90 minutes or something. But the war was over by the time the film was finished and ready for release, so it was presented together in 2 parts, as far as I know.
This is a film where often in like sort of coffee table books, I've seen images from this film, but I've never seen it still.
And I wouldn't blame you if when you see things about it, it looks like homework, because it does look like one of those movies, and I promise you it's not.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Yeah, it's always very striking images, usually of the character of the mime being on stage and things like that.
With the woman as the statue.
Yes, yeah. Two interesting picks. That first one, Diva, sounds really interesting.
Great.
And
I think you would
right
love
up my
it.
alley. Yeah.
But go ahead with Rush Hour 2. I'm dying to hear what you're going to say about it.
Wow. I will have you know that Rush Hour 2 is not one of my picks, but both of my picks are action-oriented.
Yeah. John Wick 4?
No. Okay. My runner-up pick is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay. Is that the one with Henry Cavill?
No, this is not. This is
that's the one after.
The one after that. Yes.
I get them confused. They all have hair references, like Mission Impossible, Rug Nation, and then Fallout. Because, you got Tom Cruise and those $1 billion plugs that he's got to make him look young. And so I feel like it's an obsession with him.
Yeah.
But they're all great. It's a great series.
Yeah, no, I picked this one specifically because this shows off the sort of glitz and glamour that Paris has to offer that we most often associate. He jumps over a plane above Paris. We see the whole sort of downtown area. He breaks into a nightclub. We get shots along the Seine, a whole action set piece along the Seine. All this great stuff that sort of really highlights why Paris is considered such a beautiful locale to visit.
Yeah.
But my actual pick is going to also be an action film, but hopefully one that you might respect me a little bit more for. And that is Jean-Pierre Melville's Le
Oh,
Samouraï.
okay. All right. Whew. I was waiting for A View to a Kill, but
No, no, no,
no,
no.
you've picked a perfect
Uh,
movie.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I figured you would appreciate this.
And very
I
high on
landed
my list of
on,
choices, by the way. This was something I was considering.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. You know, I think it also helps that Alain Delon is one of the most attractive guys of all time
Yes, but
for
he's
his
not
era.
for us. He's for
Okay.
girls and for straight men who want to be that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
There's something kind
Interesting.
of like flawlessly in lizard like about him. Like I think he was a beautiful man, but it's like a shell or something. There's no I don't know. There's like he's gorgeous, but he's not sexy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. But yeah, if people don't know about what this film, Alain Delon plays a hitman who, after a job, is sort of has to come up with an alibi, and so it's sort of him setting everything up in motion to prove his alibi, so that way when the police inevitably do question him,
Mhm.
that he has something to fall back on. The problem is the people that were helping him with his alibi sort of turn on him a little bit. So we get all these great shots of kind of him, you know, driving and visiting people just outside of the downtown of Paris. So we do get a little bit of what I assume then was the countryside that now probably doesn't exist anymore.
Probably.
And we see some really cool, you know, French jazz clubs, things like
That
that.
jazz club, the
And then,
design, like the white and the blue,
oh, it's so
is
nice.
incredible.
And all the
Yeah.
glass, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, this is such a fun film. I watched it a couple years ago, and then last year, I think it was, when the 4K restoration came out, I went and saw it again in
Mhm.
theaters for the first time, and wow, what a stunning film to see on a big
It
screen.
is because for the most part, the colors are very muted. You know, he has those gray
Hmm.
walls in the room that he's sleeping in, and he's wearing that tan overcoat, so that when there is a pop of color, even like when he leaves his car door open and you see the red light blinking in the car,
Yeah.
it makes such an impact on you whenever you see these bright bursts of color in the film and the nightclub and stuff. And like Atomic Blonde, it's another one of these movies where like I've seen this plot a million times, but in this case it's like the definitive version of it. You know, the whole I did the job, but then the people who hired me for the job tried to rub me out, so now I'm going to rub out my original bosses who have become my enemy. Like that
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh movie Haywire that came out like 10 years ago, that was also based on, it's also the same plot. I've seen it
Hmm.
multiple times.
Yeah, and like he's basically playing, you know, the silent, cool assassin
Hmm.
that has now become a trope for everyone else, and he probably was even the first to do it, but you know, is the
Yeah.
best.
It's one of the best uses of that kind of glassy, you know, exterior that he had is in this film. And it's definitely my favorite Melville.
Yeah, I think I've only seen this and Bob Le
Mm.
Flambeur, or I think they're the only two Melvilles I've seen, but I, you know, high on my list of need to watch more of his.
Yeah. And he didn't
Like
make
Le
too many
Circle
movies, so
Rouge
I
is
don't think it's
probably.
that hard to catch up with his filmography. Bob Le Flambeur is also one of his best. That's a shout out to my sister. That's one of her favorite movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that was one I was sort of mixed on, but like, you know, you already mentioned Steven
Hmm.
Soderbergh, how clearly that film is an inspiration to him for his Ocean's movies.
Yes, and then was remade by Neil Jordan as The Good Thief with Nick Nolte.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know
Hmm.
that. Okay. Yeah. So Melville, need to watch more of
Hmm.
him. All right. Well, let us move over to Rio de
Yep.
Janeiro in Brazil. So the first, I don't know, at least one of my picks is definitely not going to be surprising, but my runner-up pick is one that I also did some homework on, and that is OSS 117 Lost in Rio, the the Michel
Yeah.
Hanzavicius film starring Jean
Yeah.
Dujardin.
Which is a lot of fun.
Jean Du- it's so much
Yeah.
fun. Hanzavicius directed two of these OSS 117 spy spoof
Hmm.
films. They were, I think, like in the 70s, like earnest, you know, versions of the James Bond film. And then when they're being remade, they're now done as spoofs. And then Dujardin starred in a third one as well recently,
Right.
so he's continuing on this
I
franchise.
enjoy
But
all
this is
of Hazanavicius's movies. They're not always great, but like I always enjoy them. He makes pleasant films to sit through.
yeah, the only ones I've seen are these two in the
Yeah.
artist, so I definitely need to check out
I
more.
liked his
But
Godard film. Yeah.
oh yeah,
I
I
enjoyed that
forgot
film.
about that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Yeah, really, really fun film. You know, if you like James Bond films and you like Austin
Hmm.
Powers films, this is essentially what it is. It does a great job. Really funny, and I think they do a great job of also showing off all the big landmarks of
Oh,
Rio.
cool.
Yeah. But then my actual pick, which will be as a surprise for no one, also one that I did some homework for to catch up for the first time, and that's City of God.
I was expecting The
I
Secret Agent, but that's not in
oh
Rio.
wow,
Yeah.
no, it was
It's in
not.
Recife. Yeah.
Yes, I would have absolutely considered that as well. But yeah, this is the Fernando Morales and Katia Lund film about young kids that live in a favela in Rio and sort of the path that they take growing up. And I don't think I've ever seen a film with so many characters where you get to basically see their entire arc in such a tight, concise manner. I was blown away by this. Like, I obviously this movie has a reputation of being great, and it still somehow exceeded my expectations.
You know, I have to watch this movie again as well because it is really good. I remember seeing it in the theater and I was so assaulted by it because it's hard. It's a very hard movie. Watching children
Mm-hmm.
holding guns up to each other is not easy to watch. And I consider myself a pretty seasoned, unflappable film watcher. You can show me anything and I can always appreciate it as film no matter how it affects me. And I remember nearly walking out of the theater watching this movie because it upset me so much. And
Wow.
so, like, I agree with people that it's great, but I don't really remember it. I think I blacked it out. I think I was so upset about it that I blacked it out. So it's a movie I think I need to watch again in order to properly appreciate in a specific way why it's so good.
Yeah, and I think it also, I don't know if this is a good thing or not. I think in the years since this movie has come out, we as a society have become even more desensitized to violent and particularly.
Well, I thought I was already desensitized. That's the
I
shocking
know.
thing. I didn't know I had any morals
Yeah.
left when I saw this movie. So, yeah. Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not trying to praise myself for having been such a lovely, sensitive person. I think it was my sort of suburban, cushy life that made it easy for me to not know that people had it this
Hmm.
bad anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So
Yeah,
maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that I've seen a lot of clips or imagery from this film that
yeah,
I knew what to expect going into this. Either way, it's a very impactful film still, and one that I was completely knocked over.
for sure. And like Maria should never had it as good ever again. I mean, The Constant Gardener was well liked. He did The Two Popes, I think, didn't he? I think that was him.
Yes, I believe he did, which is a movie I love.
Yeah, yeah, but like nothing ever equaled the success and admiration of City of God, and like a lot of his movies were real
Mm.
failures. Like there was one with Anthony Hopkins that had like a number title that barely made it past TIFF. Like it was terribly received there, and Blindness as well was not well received. The Don McKellar, Julianne Moore
Yes.
adaptation of that what's his name, Walter Camargo book.
The movie you were thinking of is called 360.
Yes, there it is. Yeah, yeah. I remember a friend of mine in the industry went to the screening of that, and like Facebook update right after was, and it's confirmed 360 is the worst movie I've ever seen at TIFF.
Oh, ouch,
Yeah,
ouch.
yeah.
All right, well, what are your Rio picks then?
I love Brazilian cinema. I love South American cinema in general, but Argentina and Brazil are my favorites. My runner up is Madame Sata by Karim Ainuz. This is, I believe, his first film, certainly one of his earliest films. He more recently did that movie Firebrand with Alicia Vikander and Jude Law, which is like the fake like girl boss version of Henry VIII and his final wife. Um, and he's made a few other things you've probably heard of. Anyway, Madame Sata is based on a true story of this fantastic drag queen, street fighter, thief, rebel, activist, artist, whose drag persona was Madame Sata. I can't remember what their real name was, but it's a really, rough, hot, fascinating, captivating movie. I've never liked any of his films as much since. I saw this at TIFF and I just loved it. And for all my fellow homosexuals out there, it also has one of the hottest man on man scenes that cinema has to offer. So everyone look away while Dakota writes the title down very quickly to look up later, because we don't want to push him. Um, Highly recommend. Anyway, my main choice is a very familiar one, which is Central Station by Walter Sayish, who, of course, won an Oscar last year for I'm Still Here. Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
I get it confused with I'm Not There.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Which I loved. I'm Still Here. I saw that like twice in the theater, and I just bought the Blu-ray. I like his films in general, but I love Central Station, which is sort of his version of John Cassavetes' Gloria, about a woman who makes a little extra. She's a retired teacher. She makes a little extra cash writing letters for people who can't read and write. She sits at a table at Rio's Central Station, and she accidentally gets involved in the plight of this young boy who has just shown up in the city with his mother, but she dies when she's hit by a car, and she has to help him, save him from human traffickers, and then ends up like crossing the entire country. And she has this tough, hard exterior that is softened by this experience, played by the great Fernanda Montenegro, who was nominated for an Academy Award for her performance. And then, of course, her daughter was nominated for I'm Still Here last year. So I love Central Station. I've seen it so many times. I think it's a magnificent film.
Yeah, I have not seen this one. I have seen I'm Still Here, and so I do know
Yeah.
the sort of spiritual connection.
Well, it's not streaming anywhere. Like, it's really hard to find. I had to go through dark channels to get a copy of it. So hopefully it'll get released by the Cohen Film Collection or something like that, because it's really great. And so I'm saying this because I'm not surprised you haven't seen it. It's not really circulating right now.
Yeah, this is probably the film that was like on the top of the list, along with City of God, in terms of films that represent Rio. I did consider I'm Still Here as well, but yeah, this is a region that I definitely need to see more films from.
Oh yeah, Brazilian movies are fantastic.
All right, well, let us move over to Rome, and Bill, you can start us out.
All right. Taking a page out of Dakota's book, I'm going to pick an American movie just filmed in Rome for my runner-up. Just quickly shout out 2 Weeks in Another Town by Vincent Minnelli in 1962. This is one of his least appreciated movies. It's about a filmmaker played by Kirk Douglas dealing with career disappointment and middle age in Rome. It has a sequence of him on a sort of car chase with Sid Charisse that is very obviously filmed in front of a fake screen, and people laugh at it because it's campy, but the truth is the artificiality is intentional, and I think this movie is really cool, so I highly recommend it. But my main choice is Dear Diary, Caro Diario by Nanni Moretti from 1993, winner of the Best Director prize at Cannes, my favorite of all of the Nanni Moretti films I've seen. If you've listened to Riviera Rats, you know that every time we talk about him, Greg and I go into swoons over how hot we think he is, because he just fulfills all of our Italian daddy fantasies. And my favorite story is that I was at TIFF and seeing one of his movies, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and as I was walking out, he was on his way in with his people, and he's so handsome that I just forgot myself and waved at him like he was a friend arriving at a movie theater, and then felt like an idiot. I'm sure he didn't notice, but I felt hilariously stupid. But also, that's the power of a gorgeous celebrity. Dear Diary is one of his sort of personal essay films. He's made a lot of them. This is the only one that's really, really good, in which he's sort of a fictional version of himself. It's split into 3 parts. One part is him driving around Rome. Another part is him dealing with a serious illness. And then I can't remember what the other part is because I'm focusing too much on it now. But it's a marvelous film. It's so funny. There is a delightful scene where he and another guy are like, one's on top of a mountain and the other one's down below, and they're trying to catch up on the plot points of the latest episode of Bold and the Beautiful. It's so good.
Yeah, I do remember you talking about this. You've already done an episode on this film, right?
We've done a couple episodes on him because we've covered a few of his movies. We haven't done 1993 yet.
Gotcha.
Or 1994. It's a 93 movie. It played at Cannes in 94, so we haven't done that year yet.
Oh, interesting. It's one of those films.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I see that Jennifer Beals is in this, playing herself.
Oh, yes, that's right, because he's obsessed with her in Flashdance. Yeah.
Amazing.
And she was married to that French guy at that time, so she probably spent a lot of time in Europe.
Gotcha.
That guy who directed one of the Four Rooms segments. I can't remember his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was French. Maybe he was. Anyway, who cares?
All right. Well, I will move over to my films because I don't really have anything to say about either of yours because I have not seen them.
Oh,
Shocker, right?
yeah. Well, once you're done watching the gay sex movie, move on over to Vincent Minnelli, which is kind of the same
Yeah.
thing. Anyway, what are your choices?
Very similar along the lines of what you're clearly talking about. My runner-up is the Dario Argento film, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Oh, so great.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm mostly picking this because of my absolute admiration for Argento and Giallo films. This doesn't do a great job of highlighting Rome, but, it takes place there and we get some fun sequences, so I have to include it.
And I love early Argento. My favorite is Deep Red.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
But my actual pick is going to be the Paolo Sorrentino film, The Great Beauty. This might be probably one of the most important films for me as wanting to become a film critic or whatever it is that you call what I do. I saw this in theaters, and that was the first time I was so compelled that I needed to write about it immediately because I had so many thoughts on everything that happened in this film. I've since become a pretty big admirer of Sorrentino's work. I love the beauty, the quietness, the absurdity that he brings to all of his films, and sort of similar to why I picked Mission Impossible Fallout. The reason why I picked The Great Beauty is because it really does show the beauty of Rome, specifically in the ritzy, glamorous side of things. We get some, beautiful clubs and fancy house parties and beautiful condos that overlook the Colosseum and all this sort of stuff that just screams beauty and wealth at you, while giving you so much more to think about. So I absolutely adore this film.
I love hearing you say this. I'm fascinated by. I mean, I could talk to you for hours now about how this movie impacted you, because I remember when it came out, I was waiting forever for it to be released because I didn't want to do my top 10 for that year because I knew that The Great Beauty was going to be my number one, and so I was like, I gotta wait. And then I watched it and I liked it, but it didn't have any impact on me at all.
Interesting.
I kind of missed the boat on this movie or something because I begrudge it nothing. I wasn't like angry that it won an Academy Award or anything. It did nothing for me other than, of course, I love the aesthetics of it because his movies are always stunningly beautiful. And then I just actually watched it last week because we're doing that year at Cannes coming up. That's our next recording, and it still struck me the same. Like I appreciate how well it's made, but something about it doesn't really speak to me. And I appreciate, it's kind of his update on La Dolce Vita. And it's picaresque in the same way. It's like one little story after another. And I feel like he chooses one of the least interesting for the end. Like the story of that 600-year-old nun it doesn't really do it for me. So I'm fascinated by the fact that like I was expecting this movie to be so much and it turned out not to be. And I'm fascinated by the fact that it had this impact on you. I love that. Like I love that it opened you up to this desire to respond to film in a new way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
But I
interesting.
like The Hand of God a lot more.
Oh, interesting. That's one that
Yeah.
didn't work as well for me.
Okay. And I loved Youth, actually. I like that movie a lot more than The Great Beauty.
I do love Youth. I prefer The
Yeah.
Great Beauty, but Youth is also spectacular. Honestly,
Yeah.
like his movies are worth it to watch it on silent just by how beautiful they all look.
They are, and the truth is, like, if you asked me to watch The Great Beauty again tonight, I would. It's not like a dislike. It just I was expecting it to impact me more.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I recently purchased this on Criterion, so I'm very excited to rewatch this. It's been quite a while since I've seen it, but
it's a very nice addition.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I wish I'd known I would have given you mine because I've been clearing my shelves.
Well, if you ever need help clearing them out, let me know and I'll arrange it.
I will.
All right, well, let's move over to our last city, and we're going all the way down under to Sydney, Australia. this was a bit of a tricky city for me. I had only seen a couple films, and so I did one more as homework last night, and no surprise, this made my runner-up film, and I would not be surprised if either of these show up on your list as well. So my runner-up is going to be Muriel's Wedding, or I don't know if I should call it Mariel's Wedding instead. What a delight. Toni Collette, this was her
Yeah.
big breakthrough performance. It is a cult campy classic of Australian cinema, of queer cinema. And honestly, her and Rachel Griffith just absolutely are adorable and fantastic. This is shockingly one of those movies where literally every 20 minutes I was not sure what was going to happen next because it goes in such wildly different directions. I
Yeah,
don't know if I've seen another movie like that.
because it's so funny, but it's also so dark.
Mhm.
The stuff with the mom is so
Oh my
sad,
gosh.
but it's also so campy, but it's sincere. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I try to watch it every year. It means a lot to me. I love this movie very, very much.
It's one of those films that like I would be so curious to have been paying attention to the reception it had when it came out and how some of the things like the treatment of the mother or other characters in this film, which I
Mhm.
think, may have been portrayed for laughs, that like you watch through today's lens and the way we sort of can understand and appreciate the struggles of different people and be like, no, none of this is funny at all. Like this
Yeah.
should not have been something that played for laughs.
Because it makes you laugh with her instead of at her,
Mhm.
and that's why it works. Because it is from her pain, her love of ABBA, and her escaping her reality by dreaming of getting married has all to do with her low self-esteem
Yeah.
and the limited world she lives in, and also how she ignores or how she deals with growing up in a really unhappy house with this very dysfunctional marriage, as an example. But it's not, the movie doesn't make fun of her for it. It sympathizes with her,
Mhm.
and again, we laugh with her, and so it makes us connect with our own similar experiences in this way, because we've all had some way, especially when we were young and we felt powerless about a bad situation that we might have been in.
Yeah.
We all found escape in something like ABBA songs.
Yes. And
Yeah,
the first time they do the performance at the Hibiscus Island Resort is just
yeah.
pure delightful cinema.
Yeah, because it's like she finally gets someone who's on her side, who just likes her for who she is and doesn't want her to be anyone else. And the reason why she risks the relationship with Rhonda and why it's so insignificant is because Rhonda's the one person that she doesn't have to lie to.
Mhm.
So then when she does, that's truly Muriel failing.
Yeah.
Because she's such a loyal friend. Stick your drink up your ass, Tanya. I'd rather swallow razor blades than have a drink with you. And by the way, I'm not alone. I'm with Muriel. So
Delightful.
great. It's so
Yeah.
great. It was appreciated in Australia when it came out because the establishment gave it all of its awards. Although I've had to show this movie to Australians because they've never seen it before. And I think it's because I think if you're from there, you kind of don't like that it presents Australians as like, quirky goofs. Um, but it premiered at Cannes in the spring of '95, and it was like a huge hit out of there, and then it just was on fire after that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just my runner up. My actual pick.
Well, it's my number one, so we could talk. We could talk
Oh,
about
there we
it. It's
go.
not a problem.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good, good. My number one is the only Baz Luhrmann film I claim I love, and that is strictly Ballroom, his first film.
You were in danger there because it's the only really good movie he's ever made. So if you said anything else, I was going to be
Australia.
like, yeah, yeah. If you make me talk about Moulin Rouge,
This is a delightful film. It's been quite a while since I've seen it, so it's not super high on my memory. I don't really remember all of it. I just remember how much
Mhm.
I absolutely love this story of a pair of ballroom dancers who
Mhm.
believe that they have what it takes to win a local dance competition.
And that they changed the establishment. They challenged the establishment. It's the same plot as every Pixar movie, which is like everything's always been done the same, but there's that one outsider who just can't help but be themselves, and they try to fit in, but then they realize that being themselves is much more important, and that's what it is with him. Is that they want to win the Pan Pacific competition, but then he's got his own moves. He doesn't want to do the regulation moves,
Mm.
and then he ends up, winning the day
Yes.
with a paso doble.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a
Yeah,
delightful film.
yeah.
If you're not really a fan of Baz Luhrmann, I still strongly recommend checking this out because it's not like his other films. He really sort of leans into his aesthetic after this film. He sort of
Yeah.
finds his voice more, I guess what you call his current voice. But this film is,
This movie's a lot more personal. It's a lot more sincere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this. And both my films star Bill Hunter.
That's right. Yeah, who was starred in a lot of things, who started his career as a swimmer. He was on the Australian I think Olympic swimming team when he was young.
Oh,
And they were filming that movie On the Beach with Ava Gardner near where he was training, and he was discovered that way. Like someone, I think it was Ava Gardner or somebody on that film was like, "Hey, that guy should be an actor." So I think he was an extra in that movie or something, and that got him into
oh,
acting.
interesting. And that like
Yeah,
kind of goes with Muriel's Wedding in terms of like the character that she marries is a swimmer.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
The
Yeah, no,
only other
Bill Hunter's so great in that too.
yeah.
Deirdre, what a coincidence. Yeah.
uh,
You could also pick him in The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert,
that
as
was the
well.
only other movie I had as an option, frankly.
Yeah, which is definitely would have been mine as well. But as I said, my first pick was Muriel's Wedding. I mean, it's a beloved favorite. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and my best friend John kept saying, "How often are they going to play this song?" And I was like, "All right, you're not as into it as I am." It also brought ABBA back into the mainstream. They had been forgotten for a long time, and that's because PJ Hogan sent them letter after letter begging them to let him use the music. They refused for the longest time. And because of that movie, then they released ABBA Gold and they were back on top. And then Mamma Mia. And then, so much wealth has come to those people because of Muriel's Wedding.
Wow.
So, yeah, great choice. PJ Hogan made tons of movies after. He's never made anything nearly as good. But One Muriel's Wedding is quite enough. And of course, it gave us Toni Collette, who is, one of the all time greats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. My runner up is another famous Australian filmmaker, Gillian Armstrong, more famous more recently for the Winona Ryder version of Little Women, and My Brilliant Career, a bunch of other films. But I picked Starstruck, her musical from 1982, which is about a young woman in Sydney who dreams of being on a local music show. It's kind of like Hairspray, and it has all these amazing musical numbers. And it's just this very funky new wave 80s movie that has been rediscovered recently because you can watch it on Canopy, all those services, and people have been finding it again. And I'm so glad. I talked about it on BGM once, and one of my listeners sent me the soundtrack because it wasn't like commercially available, which was really nice of him. So I have all the songs. It's a really, really, really fun film, and I love it because it's shot in Sydney, and you really see a lot of Sydney in this movie, and you see a lot of the Sydney that I saw when I was there, like the pubs. It's a lot of it takes place under that really famous bridge. So yeah, it's a great movie for seeing that city. And I think the climax happens at the Opera House, which, if you ever see it in person, is a really incredible thing to see.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Another film
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with.
Hmm.
Well,
Easy to find.
awesome. I think this was a very successful list. Bill, thank you very much for sharing all of your picks. Were there any cities that you sort of struggled with, or you wish you had 5 options, or that were really limited for you? Just curious about your process of making your lists.
No, these ones were okay. You had originally sent me a longer list because we had some possibilities, and the other two you gave me were harder, but I did end up making picks for them that I felt good about. But it's fine. We can save those for the DVD extras.
Yes, very true. Well, yeah, thank you once again for coming on and sharing your knowledge and having a great conversation with me.
Well, thank you for having me once again. I really appreciate you doing it. And again, it's such a compliment that this is how you choose to celebrate your birthday on this show. It's a great honor for me. And I'm very happy to wish you a very, very happy birthday and many, many more.
Thank you very much, Bill. Now, if people want to find more of your work, where is the best place to do so?
You can find me on Instagram. It's just my name at Bill Antoniou, and there's a link to my link tree. I write movie reviews, my new Substack that I started last fall called The Film Diarist. where I release a weekly roundup of movies that I've seen, and then also dip into my archive for other films that I review. And then I've got my two podcasts. You can listen to BGM, Bad Gay Movies, Bitchy Gay Men, and which is about bad gay movies as told by bitchy gay men. And my other podcast, Riviera Rats, with my dear friend Gregory Roseborough, is covering every year of the Cannes Film Festival. You can find both of those on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Fantastic. I'm going to link to all of that in the show notes. And there's something so special about having your show called BGM, Bad Gay Movies, Bitchy Gay Men, where the title itself tells you exactly what you're getting into in a way that I think no other podcast is able to do so.
Because I was trying so hard to find something clever, and it took me days. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to call it this, because I liked that, it's like the same initials both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the closest I could come to being witty in any way.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
And I always recommend both those podcasts to everyone that I can, because they're both terrific.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind.
Of course. This has been a That Shelf podcast. Visit thatshelf.com for more great film discourse. Follow the show on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads at ContraZoomPod. What are your favorite films by these cities that we talked about today? Let us know and send an email to ContraZoomPod@gmail.com. Thank you to Eric and Kevin Smale for the theme music, and to Stephanie Pryor for the logo design. If you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we post all episodes there as well. And if you really like the show, consider tipping us on coffee. Thanks for checking us out.